at this point, JuJu Smith-Schuster is a Pittsburgh Steeler, but we're losing a cornerback. It looks like everything is just about rounded out. We don't know where we sit or if they're even going to make another move, which we'll talk about all of it. But we'll start off with the big one. JuJu Smith-Schuster, 1 year, $8 million. A decent cap hit, but they're going to lose Steven Nelson in the making of all of this. What do you take away from it?
Yeah, before we even get into the depths of everything, I just want to say I don't think the move to cut Steven Nelson or to trade him, either of the two, is directly correlated with JuJu coming back to Pittsburgh. I think that's a very big misconception. I don't think they're tied to each other. I just think the timing of both of the moves is very, very linear with each other. But that being said, I mean, I know we expected a couple guys to take 1 year prove-it deals to come back to wherever their teams are, or maybe just go to a different team for 1 year and try to get the bag next offseason. I definitely would not have pegged JuJu for a $8 million on a 1 year contract kind of guy, but that apparently wasn't even the highest offer that he got.
No, it wasn't. The $4 million in incentives with, I believe, the Ravens, and then $3 million with the Chiefs. Honestly, I had somebody texting me like 24 hours, 48 hours before the deal went down saying JuJu's going to sign with a guy or with a competitor like the Chiefs for a decent deal. And I was like, what's a decent deal? They're like $12 million. And I was like, oh, okay, like that makes sense. But at the same time, JuJu's looking for $15 million. I knew that. You knew that. And that's the only mark I was willing to give him to go to a different team. Otherwise, like we talked about last week and the week before, it made too much sense for him to come back on a 1 year prove-it deal, even if it's a low-end 1 year prove-it deal, because next year the market's going to be better. He's going to have a season with Ben Roethlisberger, who's looking to win a Super Bowl. So he's going to do anything he possibly can to throw the football. And next offseason, the Steelers, along with everybody else, will have the means to actually pay him. What shocked me and what shocked pretty much everybody is an hour, 2 hours after the deal gets done, Kenny Galladay goes out and gets the bag that JuJu Smith-Schuster should have gotten. It didn't, to me, I'm paying JuJu Smith-Schuster. I get that Kenny Galladay is a better wide receiver, but with the injury issues, I'm paying JuJu Smith-Schuster before I'm paying Kenny Galladay. That shocked me.
Yeah, and I think that comes from JuJu being looked around the league as more of a slot receiver kind of guy. And, historically speaking, you don't necessarily pay those kind of guys. I mean, I feel like Jarvis Landry is probably one of the sole outliers in that line of thinking. But, as both you and I know, and every other Steelers fan does as well, JuJu's not only a slot guy. We've seen him dominate on the boundary, time in and time out. He's a guy you could pretty much plug anywhere. Does he work more, efficiently in the slot? Yeah, I think he does. I think the size advantage he brings and, his route running for a guy his size is pretty useful in the slot against, outside linebackers, against, dime backers, safeties, whatever you want to call it. I feel like he's more effective towards those kind of guys. But that being said, no, the Galladay deal absolutely surprised me because people were lumping him in with a guy like JuJu, in terms of taking just a 1 year deal. So to see Galladay not only get a multi-year contract, but for the amount of money that he did was kind of surprising.
Super surprising. I did not see it coming. But if anything, I mean, we don't talk the Giants. I don't really watch Giants football all that much. But Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley are coming back, and they're looking for something. They need something. So, all them to the Giants. Shout out Giants fans. JuJu made the right decision, didn't make the right decision. What's it mean for him heading into 2022? Can he still get the bag? And more importantly, can he get the bag with the Steelers?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you'll see this thrown out on social media a lot. The Steelers have a boatload of cap space heading into next year. But I think whenever people throw that around, we need to take that with a grain of salt because I think there's about 17 players that need to re-sign. TJ Watt's going to be due for a big extension. Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to be due for a big extension. The 5th year on Terrell Edmonds is most likely going to get picked up. And then you have a guy like JuJu who, you could possibly re-sign. I think at the end of the day, it worked out perfectly for both the Steelers and JuJu. The Steelers get JuJu on pennies for the dollar of what he would have sought in a normal offseason. And JuJu comes back for a 1 year deal to try to, one, run it back with Big Ben 1 more year before he retires, and 2, his best shot of making money next year was with the Steelers. I understand people, slandering him for not signing with Mahomes, playing with him, not playing with a guy like Lamar Jackson. I understand. But at the end of the day, Juju is going to be the most featured receiver in this offense. Well, talking is hard. And this offense is going to be the most featured receiver. And thus, I feel like that's going to give him a better chance of pumping his numbers up a little bit. And then heading into next year's free agency saying, hey, I proved I'm the guy. The salary cap is no longer an issue. Give me the bag.
Yep. And I agree. And I will say this before we change over to Steven Nelson. Somebody tweeted at me, and I love calling people out that text me and tweet me because I'm just like, come on, guys, you're better than this. Somebody tweeted at me saying that Chase Claypool was the best wide receiver in Pittsburgh, followed by Deontay Johnson, and then Juju. Let me tell you this. Chase Claypool has more potential than either Deontay Johnson or JuJu Smith-Schuster. I'll throw that all out there. Deontay Johnson has more potential than JuJu Smith-Schuster. No one in Pittsburgh is as reliable or dependable or meets the mold, fits exactly what the Steelers are looking for in a strong, physical, reliable guy than JuJu Smith-Schuster. Right now, he is the number one receiver in Pittsburgh, even if he's in the slot. So yeah, $8 million, bargain. Should have got him for 12 to 15. The Steelers weren't affording that. If he went to Baltimore, if Juju went to Baltimore, that's the end of it. There's Mike Hilton. The fact that Mike Hilton is tweeting out stuff like, hey, please stop bagging on my success is one thing. Imagine if it's Juju. Steelers fans, he's done. He's not even a thing. So we're switching over to Steven Nelson. And the same conversation, because it literally happened 10 minutes beforehand, Steven Nelson is approved to seek a trade. The Steelers are allowing Steven Nelson to go out, find a new home before they release him, which I believe is June 15th. They have to release him by before his contract hits. They'll save him $8.5 million, much needed space. But now they need a cornerback. Does it make any sense at all?
I was very surprised that the team decided to do this right now. Mm-hmm. I feel like if they were going to do this, they should have done this pre-free agency.
Yep. Because
now you find yourself, I know a lot of people throw Cam Sutton's name out there as a cornerback too, opposite than Joe Hayden. And while I do like Cam Sutton, I think the team kind of views him more valuable as like a versatility piece. They can just move around the defense wherever they need him, not necessarily just sticking and plugging him in one spot. But if he was going to be plugged in the one spot, you would assume that would have been Mike Hilton's spot at the slot corner position. It's a very murky situation. I'm still confused on whether or not Steven Nelson originally wanted out himself, or if the Steelers decided, hey, like it came down between you and Joe Hayden. We want Joe Hayden on the team. Go find another team before we release you.
Steven Nelson did tweet that out. He said this is a blessing in disguise. That's when because I was the same way. I looked at it like this has got to be Steven Nelson asking to get out for some reason, because he's not a hot option in a cornerback market that's still wide open. I mean, you got guys like Brian Poole and Mackenzie Alexander, I think.
Richard Sherman still a free agent?
Richard Sherman. I mean, that's a whole other name. But yeah, Richard Sherman. You have guys out there. I mean, Steven Nelson's just going to get swept right under the rug. He's not doing much. If it was 2 years ago, it'd be a totally different situation. And then he tweets that out, and I'm like, maybe this is the Steelers, but like, why? Do they have that much faith in? Do they have faith all of a sudden in Justin Lane? Not even that much. Do they have any in Justin Lane? Are we looking at Cam Sutton to be the guy? Like, did a cornerback just become their first round option?
Maybe they like the shot of James Pierre and then the small amount of
undrafted guy who was like 5'11", 5'10", who didn't play a snap on defense a starting snap on defense last season. I mean, I don't know. And then even at that point, you still have to have faith in Justin Lane, because Pierre's not going to be the starter that plays every single rep. He's not Joe Hayden. You need another guy on the outside, and there goes Cam Sutton because he's on the inside. So there was a lot of positions on that team. I got the Vince Williams cut. I do not understand Steven Nelson at all.
No, not at all. And like I said, if you were going to make this move before free agency, one, so you're not screwing over Steven Nelson. He has a wider range of offers and teams that he can go to. And two, the cornerback market is going to be a little bit more spread out than it is currently right now. It's just I don't understand the timing of the move. I don't understand why at this point in the offseason you would up and decide, hey, we only want one of the two cornerbacks. Everybody threw Joe Hayden's name out there as a potential cap casualty cut. I remember on a few podcasts ago we were talking about, before free agency hit, I was more willing to let Steven Nelson go than Joe Hayden. A lot of people talked about Joe Hayden as a guy. I was more willing to depart with Steven Nelson, especially after his play dropped in 2020. But to do this right here and right now, just very, very odd. And if you're trying to offload a guy in a trade, don't say you're going to release him, because that will really come back to bite you in terms of free agency. In terms of trying to get trade value for him. Because why would a team trade for him if they know they can get him on the open market if Nelson's interested in him?
On the open market for less than $8.5 million. That's
and you won't have to give up additional compensation for him either.
Yeah, exactly. It makes no sense. The Steelers, I don't get that. I don't understand that at all. I didn't understand the whole thing. You were dead on with the timing. Why now? Why all of a sudden, once you're starting to make a splash signing? Because they did everything, and we're going to talk about this later, but they did everything under the salary cap that they currently have. So, this $8 million or whatever is going to be added to them is just going to be added as extra cap space that they already have left over. They made the Chris Wormley signing official. They made their JuJu signing official. All they have left is the new guys, that Joe Haeg and Killebrew. And there's no way that they equal $8 million. I mean, neither of them are a starter. They're probably just about $3 million, if that. And you're going to just have $8 extra million just sitting around. So where do they go? Do they use it? Like, do they just sit here and go, oh, we just got rid of Steven Nelson, we'll replace him somehow, some way, but at least we have some money?
I would prefer that they go and sign some sort of veteran guy across from Joe Hayden. I'm not sure who that guy is. I mean, you've seen guys like Adoree Jackson and Richard Sherman thrown out there. I'm not sure the price tag those guys are willing to command.
They're never going to come.
Yeah, the Steelers probably won't be able to match that for it.
You're not paying Steven Nelson $8.5 million or getting rid of him and then using $8.5 million, which is really more like $5 or $6 million, to go sign Richard Sherman or Adoree Jackson. Adoree Jackson's going to be an $8-9 million a year guy. Richard Sherman will probably be just the same, if not a little bit more.
That's the thing. We don't know. And, I feel like just navigating it a little bit towards the Steelers' number one, pick in the first round of the draft, I feel like this opens it up even more, because now we're talking about potential cornerbacks being taken, in the back of the first round. So as it was open enough, getting rid of Steven Nelson just completely opens the doors up for almost anything at number 24.
Exactly. So let me ask you this, and I feel like I've asked you this every single episode for the last 5 episodes. Where does cornerback now sit on this list? Last week it was inside linebacker that we had to add into the possibilities of the first round. At one point it was just basically running back and tackle. Now we're adding cornerback. Where does a cornerback sit? Because there probably will be one or two that are good first round options at number 24. How high up on the list is it?
I feel like it's got to be pretty high up. I don't like Justin Lane. I feel like Cam Sutton, like I said a little bit earlier, I feel like his value comes in being able to kind of bounce all around the field. And if you only restrict him to playing that kind of outside role that Steven Nelson played, you're almost limiting, what he can do overall as a player. I feel like if there's a good cornerback at number 24, I wouldn't be opposed to not taking him. I wish we were back in the good old days where it was just tackle or running back. The great
running back. Really, it was just tackle. Really, there was like 900 running backs. We're like, the Steelers could find a running back in the 4th round. Chuba Hubbard will be there, and everybody was fine. Just take Alex Leatherwood at number 24. Now we're sitting there, and if they picked a quarterback, I'd be like, well, probably. I don't make sense. It's got to be on the list somewhere. I don't really know.
If they went punter at 24, I'd be like, okay, Jordan Bear's off contract.
He's not even here. We don't even have. It's Corliss Waitman. Man's never even punted in a game. Don't get me wrong. I've seen it. I saw him in training camp last year, and Corliss is the man. That's why Jordan Berry's not here. He is now the punter. I'm gonna put that out right now. Hot take. March 22nd. Corliss Waitman. But that's where we're at. The Steelers have I don't even like, would you, okay, so you're saying they would be satisfied. You would be satisfied at 24. Like, but like, can you find enough talent in the second round to wait it out? Because how satisfied are you if your left tackle is still, you still don't own a left tackle? Because we have to remember the Steelers don't even have one. They just have 3 tackles.
I mean, they do, but they don't.
They do, but they don't.
They
like
do,
they
but
also
they
have 2 centers, but they don't really have a starting.
Yeah. It's like the old peripheral verbiage. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The Steelers have 4 running backs, 4 tackles, 2 centers, and they still don't have a running back, a tackle, or a center. That's where we're at right now. So I don't know. To me personally, I don't think that a cornerback going in the first round fixes this team enough to feel confident in it. But at the same time, you're gonna see from day one the drop in talent once there's a wide open cornerback position. You're gonna see the defense struggle because we've been through this before. The Steelers are awful at finding cornerbacks.
Definitely, yeah. Their history of drafting cornerbacks has been not great, to put it very nicely. And we also have to remember, whenever it comes to the Steelers defense, much like every other defense in the NFL, there needs to be a healthy relationship between being able to rush the quarterback and then being able to have a good pass defense. If you have a good pass defense, that'll allow the front 7 and give them a little bit more time to get to the quarterback. If you don't have a very good secondary, the front 7 needs to step up and get after the quarterback. The Steelers lost 4 starters on defense.
4. And they're all replaceable. If we're going to be honest, they're all replaceable. Steven Nelson is not. Steven Nelson is the first one that's not replaceable. We're sitting here now going, that's a huge hole. The Steelers defense didn't have a hole. Everybody complained about, oh, Bud's gone. They just lost Vince Williams, Mike Hilton, their best corner in the league. I get it. There are options to replace them that did not hurt this defense that much. Steven Nelson now leaves us with the Steelers with a huge gap that needs to be filled. Otherwise, the entire defense goes from an A+ to an A, maybe an A- quick, very, very quick.